going. That string mode not working. Hey, buddy. Hey, buddy. Are you hitting buttons over there, D-Rex? No? Only is the internet not cooperating, the universe is not cooperating. Can you hear me, D-Rex? Well, thank you for being here. Even though the universe is conspiring against us, we've got no air conditioning, we've got no internet, and it appears as though I've got no co-hostesses. But that's all right, because what we're talking about today is celebrating. And if there's anything I know how to talk about endlessly, it's celebrating. Seriously. So I'm glad you guys are here. I appreciate you. It's so much more fun when I can bring you a couple other spectacular personalities to help me with this. But until we get this internet thing sorted out, it looks like it might just be me solo today. But that's all right, because today is a special day. Oh, you there? Are you there?
I'm here. I'm here.
Can I trumpet you? Can I trumpet you?
I suppose you could.
The universe is working against us, D-Rex. I think there's like hell freezing over in LA, and it's getting hotter than hell here in Phoenix. It beat up our air conditioner. Poor Coroliiinaah has lost 16 pounds of booty today because it's so hot in here. And
we can't have that. We cannot have that happening.
She's like, oh my God, sweet. Oh my God. Fuck, I'm sweating my ass off. I was like, look, you can sweat anything you want off, not the ass. Sweat off the elbows. You know, you can sweat your elbows off. I said, don't lose the money maker. No, but seriously.
That Phoenix heat is no joke. And with no AC, I mean, it is a serious problem. And it's making everything else difficult. You know, it makes all these little things that go wrong. What the heck are you doing?
I am drinking out of my Get Busy Living mug. Thanks, Tasha Sauce, for the Get Busy Living mug. Hell yeah. My choice drink.
I see.
I got
with
some
your
Phoenix
finger stirrer there.
Phoenix Finest Coffee. Yeah, I mean, it looks like a charm. That way I don't waste any on the
All
straw.
right. Well, I was just going to say that, you know, the heat can make all these little things that go wrong every week. It can make them 10 times bigger. But I'm happy to say happy birthday to you and me and Caro, because it's our 1 year anniversary of the first episode of this podcast.
1 year anniversary. And before we go any further, can we just try to get her on here and so that she can be a part of this joyful celebration? Let's give it a shot.
Yeah, see if you can find her.
We've already crashed and burned. Hey, pretty girl, smile.
Hi guys, nice to see you.
Hello, hello.
How's the sound? Can you hear?
Sweating my what?
Arse.
Yeah, I can hear her. She does sound a little bit far away, so just speak louder, Caro, and Swede, speak quiet.
Try this, girl. Tell me you love me.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Happy birthday.
I'm trying to do my best.
Tell me you love me.
I love you.
Can you hear that, D-Rex?
Yes.
Is it louder than it was before? Because I changed the mics.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. So
hell yeah.
Happy birthday to all of us.
Happy birthday.
And the anniversary of this podcast. I feel like a lot has been learned, and there's still so much to learn, as you guys can see by the beginning of this podcast, everything possible going wrong.
And yet we celebrate. And yet we celebrate.
And you know what? And that's the whole point of today's podcast, is we're going to be talking about celebrations and why they're important. And it's a real thing, guys. It's not just, we're not just blowing smoke here. Celebrations are so important to the human spirit. And I can't wait to go over all of the stuff we all have planned here for our birthday or anniversary celebration. So thank you for joining us. If you're here, say hello in the comments so we can say hi to you.
Hell yeah.
And
Thank you very much for showing up, y'all.
And I can't believe it, but Caro scooted into the studio at the very last second due to so many mishaps. We're glad you're here.
Can you believe it? It sounds good. It's good.
Later.
Hell yeah.
I was cooking myself.
I
in
turned
my studio.
I went in her room because the air conditioning guy showed up literally at 5 o'clock. Literally at 5 o'clock. You know, the air conditioning's been out since Monday. And he showed up today at 5. And so we're putting these units. And like he brought us one that works really good, but sucks air from the outside. He brought us one that doesn't work as good and just recycling hot air in Carol's room. But I didn't know that. I thought it'd be working. So I go in there all chipper, like getting ready to give her like, you know, the next little step in the process. And I look over and the poor girl, she looked like
all my
despair,
makeup,
just utter despair.
my
her
hair.
mouth was sagging, her eyes were like, oh my God.
But somehow she looks
Sweat.
perfect now.
I know. Sweat glistening on her nose. Yeah, so thank you.
Thank you both for pulling it together because that's not easy to deal with, not in that Phoenix heat. And I am back in Los Angeles this week. And I'm so happy to see your faces that I just actually saw on Sunday, right before I left. And we had a wonderful weekend, guys. We're going to tell you all about the latest adventure and get to our topic at hand. What would you like to do first, Swede?
First, I want to thank everyone that is, has, or ever will watch this show and every show we've done for the past year as of today, and every show we will do, because, you know, my goal with this whole thing is to express a debt of gratitude. And if I'm expressing a debt of gratitude in the woods and nobody hears it, then I'm not really doing that. So I appreciate what you guys, the two of you, have done to help me get this far. Both of you have been seriously integral in getting me this far. You both play different roles, but roles I could not have filled for myself. I would be nowhere near this far with progress, and that's why I don't even like saying I about this. This is not an I thing. This is an us thing, you know. And yes, it's me, and then it's you two, but it's us to begin with, and there is no point of it if there's not also a larger collective us. So for those of you that have tuned in the past, that will tune in the future, that are tuning in now, thank you for doing this. We really hope that you understand that there's no point in doing this without participation. And that's why we're going to talk about celebrating tonight, because we want you to celebrate with us. So we're going to talk about the different ways that you can participate. And we're going to talk about why celebrating is so important. Because think about it, you know, like I said in the beginning, in the intro, if you know anything about me, you know that I love to celebrate. I'm telling you, it doesn't matter. We can be celebrating the third day in a row of being days in a row, and I will celebrate. Like, just give me a reason to be excited. I'm the most excitable, amusable person on the planet. And so when I'm doing this, like, I honestly don't have a really good feel for what is entertainment and what is not. You know, I just get on here and giggle with you guys. But I've gotten so much great feedback from people in this past year. And trust me, I've got 2 workhorses, 2 super talented girls working with me directly here on screen. And I've got several other folks that are helping me behind the scenes with all kinds of different angles of this. This really is. I hope that people understand someday that this project is a result of that Help Swede Walk Again fundraiser that kicked off when I was on my deathbed. This is the result. And I see this getting bigger and badder and better. And, you know, what we've done up to this point, T-Rex, is we've just kind of try to figure out the technical difficulties. And what we've learned, if anything, is that sometimes you have no control over it, right?
That is true. That is true. Sometimes the universe takes over and you have to surf whatever wave it's giving you. You know,
Yeah,
I'd like to read this little thing here that I stumbled across on the internet since we're talking about celebrations. Celebrations are basically a time to build your social connections stronger and reflect on the past and think about the future. But it says that people who take time to celebrate their successes are generally more optimistic. They take better care of themselves and tend to be less stressed. Celebrations increase people's sense of well-being, regardless of socioeconomic factors, education, age, or gender.
Yes.
Now, isn't that amazing? There's very few things that we can do that are regardless of rich or poor, educated, uneducated, your age, your gender. There's very few things that go across all of those boundaries, but we can all celebrate.
We can all celebrate. I love that. When you brought that to my attention, it warmed my heart up so much, because I am a person that I just enjoy the energy I get from other people. If you're an open ear or you have something to say, I'm tuning in, because I feed off of the sound of your voice, and I feed off knowing that you're tuned into mine. And it's all about the togetherness, and celebrating alone, it just isn't the same. So kind of like my happiness as a human depends on others participating in a celebration. And this really resonates me. And what I love about what you said, and I'm gonna ask Coroliiinaah to actually chime in on this, because she's transcended cultural boundaries. But like you said, it doesn't matter how old or young, doesn't matter how dark or light, doesn't matter how thin or wide, doesn't matter when, where, or what you are on this planet. Every culture has celebrated, and we in America, we celebrate things that, how many times I've been at a celebration in Destin, which is very celebratory because it's a tourist destination, and when the town fills up, like on any given day in the off season, like 10,000 people there. On any given day during the summer, it's like 100,000, and it's Memorial Day and 4th of July and Labor Day. And I got to tell you, I've been ashamed the amount of times I've asked people if they know what Memorial Day is about, if they know what Independence Day is about, and if they know what Labor Day is about. And so few people in this country even recognize that we're celebrating for a reason. Like, what better reason is there than Memorial Day that's celebrating the people who have volunteered, or in some cases drafted, actually in a lot of cases drafted into the military. But I mean, that's older, but they volunteer to go into the military. Everybody there is volunteering. And they know at any given moment that they could be asked to sacrifice their life to protect the well-being of this country. And very few people actually tune in and actually are aware and consciously, thinking about the fact that, wow, while we're out here, drinking and enjoying the sun and eating barbecue, we don't have to worry about anybody threatening us. We don't have to. I mean, we do. Obviously, there's plenty of threats, but we're very well protected in this country because of the military. And I think that too often what we are celebrating in this country falls, right off of our shoulders and into the bar tab, rather than actually being a genuine celebration. And so, with that in mind, Carol, why don't you talk to us a little bit about the difference that you've noticed, coming to America compared to celebrating, in Colombia?
Okay. First, can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay.
Can hear you
Okay,
loud
good.
and clear.
Okay. Like Sui mentioned, there's a lot of celebrations in our country, in Colombia too, that we have no idea where we're celebrating, like what holiday, but we party and we celebrate. We celebrate our Independence Day too. And yeah, a lot of people, we don't even know what we're celebrating, but we should appreciate what we celebrate.
Yeah, the family unit in this country has been deconstructed. Everybody's been encouraged to get out of your parents' house and go get your own job and become wealthy and live the American dream. And although that's a worthwhile objective, I suppose you can't tell anyone that they shouldn't be pursuing their own best case scenario. But what it's done is effectively deconstructed the family unit here. And so when we celebrate in this country, we often celebrate our own individual successes. Where like when I lived overseas, celebrating holidays is a family, it's a community affair. It's never an individual thing. Like talk about how your family gatherings went when you were.
Yeah, and in our country, we are more about family orientation. It's more about getting together with your family and celebrate and dance and singing. It's not about the consumism that
Consumerism?
Huh?
Consumerism?
I can't say that word. I'm sorry. Say again.
Never mind. I like it when you say it that way.
Consumer
Ism.
ism. That's what I say.
Yes, I stand corrected.
Well, I'm pretty sure everybody understood what I mean.
Yes.
It's not about the consumerism. So we're more about getting together with our families, dancing. We love to dance, cooking together, uh, it's more family oriented, and we have a lot of holidays, a lot of reasons to celebrate, because the third world countries, we use everything to an excuse to get out of, poverty or economical issues that we have to face more than America. Like people have to deal more with being hungry, uh, not having a decent house, way more things like American people have to deal with.
Yeah, I think that that's part of the reason probably that we aren't as grateful or as stupendous a celebrator as a culture, American culture, because regardless of what those of you out there that like to talk bad about this country, there is such thing as an American culture. And if you were born here, you're a part of it. And what you're doing with your time and day and activities every day is contributing to what it is. So ask yourself, are you conducting yourself on a daily basis in a way that shows this country that you appreciate that you were given an opportunity here, and that you have a very low ceiling of standard, or very low floor when it comes to standard of living? I mean, Coroliiinaah's talking about how when they get together, they're just so happy to have food. And when we get together here, all we do is watch TV and bitch about the other people on TV that have more.
Yeah, I'm going there. When I moved to America, first time, my first celebration was Thanksgiving. We don't celebrate Thanksgiving in our countries, but it was shocking that I saw everybody coming eat like they're gonna pass out.
Yeah.
No music.
Yes.
No party.
Right.
Just eat as much as you can.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, bye, thank you. I'm like, what kind of celebration is this?
Yeah.
It's so funny. So Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday. And so when Heather and I were separating, we negotiated. She got lyric on Christmas Eve and Christmas. I got lyric on Thanksgiving and her birthday, which is the day after Christmas. And of course, as teammates, we negotiated all along the way. But for the most part, I had lyric on her birthday and on Thanksgiving, and Heather had her on Christmas Eve. Of course, there were times when I had her on Christmas Eve. First up, but the point is that me and lyric would family hop, because you're right. Typically, everybody eats and then turns on the football and tires out. So what we would do, because we are tireless, is we would join them until they tired out, and then we family hop. And I usually end up at the Borellos. You know the Borellos. I usually end up at the Borellos, and those guys are energy. That's what I love most about Borello and Sharon, is that they are high energy, hilarious individuals. So I know I could always finish off my Thanksgiving at the Borello Dome and have some high energy there. But yeah. It's a shame that we just get so caught up in eating and we don't even appreciate the food. And you were telling me some hilarious shit about New Year's.
Yeah, okay. So that was about Thanksgiving. I was shocked. So after that was Christmas time. In Colombia, we used to celebrate like 9 days before Christmas. The
9
families,
days.
Yeah, the families or the neighborhoods, we get together in a house every day, and we pray around the nativity, and we read a book that is about the nativity, about baby Jesus. So we pray every day around the nativity, and it's a perfect excuse to get together, and we sing. The kids, when we have kids around, they sing carols.
You're saying nativity. I thought you were saying activity. I'm like, well, yeah, it's always an activity. But you're saying nativity, like, so you're
Nativity,
about baby
yeah.
Jesus and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Nativity. Baby Jesus.
I'm thinking, can you be more specific? Okay, so you're praying for baby Jesus.
So we pray 9 days before, we get together, we sing carols or
Carols.
carols.
Ooh, let's write a Christmas carol this year. Down here, actually, you're a musician. Let's write a Christmas carol.
Christmas carol.
Put it on a song.
So we celebrate Christmas on the 24th. We wait until midnight. So when midnight arrives, we open the gifts And of course, if there are children around, it's like baby Jesus brought all these gifts, like Santa Claus, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
And we open the gifts and we dance and party all night long.
That's my speed. I probably would
All the family together.
That's
that sounds
that's
wonderful.
Yes.
Yes.
Think about the fact that how many parents rely on TV to babysit their kids? How many parents can't wait to send their kids to bed and then make them stay in bed later? Like, no, you can't get up and open your presents until a certain time. And look, I'm all for discipline. I'm all for discipline. I think if you don't discipline your children when they're kids, they will discipline you when they're adults. So if somebody's getting punished, it might as well be them. When it's your job to teach them what they're supposed to be doing. And for those parents that allow holidays and televisions to babysit your children, I hope that you will tune into this podcast every single week and try to adopt some of the things that we preach here, because getting busy living and celebrating, it's all about having a life that's purposeful and worthwhile. And if you are not helping your children in that respect, I feel like you're not contributing. Damn, I feel like I'm hating today. Am I hating today? Like I'm hating on people for letting Christmas babysit their kids, and I'm preaching about not celebrating properly. I guess that's why obviously I was really touched by this topic, because I do celebrate. I celebrate with everyone.
Yeah, you do.
Picky. And I don't care who you are. If you have a reason to celebrate, I'm going to sit right next to you and tell you that it's worth it and try to help you enjoy it. And for the amount of people that, but I feel like, although I'm not a perfect parent, far from it, I feel like when the time was appropriate that I tuned out and tuned my child in, and especially for holidays, and life happens. And so we don't have a perfect track record of holidays spent together. But I promise you this, it was never a TV babysitting my kid on Christmas Eve. And I'm sure that her mom will second that. And when you think about like this joyful approach to Christmas in Colombia, where the family stays up till midnight, doesn't like try to get the kids to go to sleep early. They stay up until midnight, and then they celebrate all night. And think about
we dance too.
Dancing.
We stay dancing too with our parents. That's why we have the dance thing in our blood, because we start dancing since we're like 3-4 years old. I remember me dancing with my dad, with my uncles, with all my family when I was like a 3-year-old, learning to dance salsa in our blood, because we dance and we party together, no matter how old we are.
So there is a right way to celebrate, and we're celebrating a very momentous checkpoint on the timeline. Happy birthday to the Get Busy Living podcast. I mean, I feel somewhat emotionally torn up about the fact that there's not like a big birthday party going on around me. But you can't turn a football game into an activity scene, and you can't turn a podcast into a group celebration, right? So I'm just happy to be here, happy to have you guys. And think about 1 year of podcasting, Rex. 1 year, a year ago.
Yeah. Well, I do feel like we had a party. I'm going to ask you to turn your microphone situation back to what you had it at the beginning to continue the conversation. But I do feel like we had a party. We just didn't have it on the day. So we had a really great weekend where we were all adventuring up in Flagstaff. We were bye, Swede. We were having a really great time doing things out in nature together. A bunch of really great people who spent quality time together, talking to each other, helping each other, and just having a great time. And it's the kind of great time that anybody and everybody wants. I mean, it was just a noteworthy celebration. Even though we weren't technically celebrating the podcast, I really do feel like we were.
It was. I mean, I was aware
it's not
of that.
Today.
No, but we are leading up to this, and it's more about the vibe that we feel about the work that we put in, and whether or not we're enjoying it, and whether or not we feel it's moving in the right direction. And when it's time to build a house, there's a long process that goes into it before anybody ever opens the door and visits that house. And we're with this show, we're still engaged in that process, figuring things out, how to promote it properly, how to be ahead of the game, how to do all the kind of things that are finer points of production. But the fact that we've been able to, the show has gone on every week, even in spite of those types of setbacks, and I feel really good about where we are. I know all of the stuff that I'm working on in the background, and there's a long time from the time a seed gets watered underground before you actually see the fruits. So there's all kinds of cracking and sprouting going on, and the fruits of the labor, I am very optimistic, will start to sprout this in our second year of activity.
Can I just talk for a second about what things were like for me a year ago?
Wow.
So 1 year ago, you
invited
me
over here. I'm sorry. Me and Kara were both trying to push a smile out, but it's so fucking hot in here.
It's okay. Why don't you go ahead and fan yourselves, because that's what I do here when it's baking. But I would say 1 year ago, we went on our first adventure of pretty much our adult lives. We've known each other since we were 15 or 14 or something like that.
That's an interesting point.
And we went on our first adventure as adults. And I would like to show a little video about that. I recorded this video last year, and I'm not showing it until right now. So I look like a little baby in this video. It's 1 year ago. I'm at the airport, and I'm in Burbank. Last night, Sweet texts me and says, I have a concert ticket to a concert in Flagstaff tomorrow night, and you should come. And I was like, I don't think I can do that. And he said, sure, you can do that. I'll send you a ticket. And I was like, no. And I said no a couple more times, because that's what I do. And then he said, yeah, you should come. And I said, okay. So today I'm at the airport, and I'm gonna go to Phoenix, and we're gonna take a road trip up to Flagstaff, see a concert. Already I've been delayed a couple times, but it's an adventure, and now I'm flying through Salt Lake City, and let's see how it goes. This adventure is 100% brought to you by Sweet.
We say we love, we say we love. We gave it all, we gave it all.
No, what are we really doing?
Oh, we're about to go to a concert.
Yeah.
Michael Franti, baby, yeah. But we were just interesting until something better came along.
So isn't that interesting? 1 year ago, you had to twist my arm so hard to go on an adventure. And then 1 year later, what just happened last week? It was a week into the future. You said, we're going to be doing this thing on Sunday. And I said, can I come? No arm twisting. I was twisting your arm. I was like, can I jump in on your fun? So there's been a big difference in that 1 year. So I've changed a lot in this 1 year personally. And you know what? I think I see something that involves both of you in that video too. Besides our mutual friend, Jay, who was dancing in that video. I see that you're actually much lighter than you were last year. And that is thanks to Caro's influence in cooking and guidance. So there's a lot that's changed in this past year.
Amen. And I happen to also notice that the red carpet was rolled out for you in that.
The literal red carpet. Yeah.
I went and got that red carpet. I was like, because I remember saying it to you. I was trying to talk you into it. And I was like, come on, D-Rex. I'm like, whatever. I'm like, because you're like, well, we should really be spending this time, gathering our content and preparing. And I'm like, what's better, gathering old content or making new content? And they're like, oh, well, and I could tell that you were starting to give in a little bit, but then I really went for the jugular. I was like, D-Rex, you could literally be here by morning and be home by the next night. Like it's less than 2 days. Come on, I got it. Let's do this. And you're like, okay. And now 1 year later, think about it. Like, you told the story a year ago You told the story
Yeah.
about when I was leaving the U.S. and me and you caught up for the first time since high school, and we were just catching up. Like we hadn't had a face-to-face conversation since, as far as I can remember, graduation day. And I don't even know how much we talked that day, but that's the last time I can remember being at a school function that you probably would have been at, you know? And for us to be the first time that we've talked since then in person was kind of mind blowing to me because like we were always cool. You know, I honestly thought when we were kids that we would have a lifelong adult friendship, but whatever, life happened. And then that day you were like talking about how I was telling you that I've been on something like 30 consecutive months on one epic adventure every single month. And you're like, what? I barely leave my neighborhood once a month.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I didn't do much.
Well, you know, what's to me significant is, okay, so a lot of us don't do much. All right. And a lot of us are perfectly happy not doing much. And you didn't come at me like you were unhappy. It's just like, that's just how my life is. I have my priorities.
Yeah.
I have things I enjoy. My hobbies are this and so on and so forth. Completely justified in the lifestyle you're living. But something I said that day got under your skin. And next thing you know, you're riding bikes around Europe. And next thing you know, you're on a whim coming to Phoenix because I was going to go kayaking. I'm so proud of you.
Yeah. So, yeah, a lot has changed in this year. And one of those is my attitude towards celebrating and getting together and my appreciation for that. I'm cooking too. We're all cooking today.
Speaking of getting together, what do you think about me and Carol getting together so that this microphone situation works good? Because she seems to have to yell.
That might be better.
Scoot on over here, babe. Scoot on over here.
That's a good idea.
Oh my God, this thing today.
So, you know, while you're doing that, let me say that I was really thinking about the question. Well, I was making a question myself, like, so what makes something worthy of celebrating? Because, you know, I know so many people, including myself, who for many years wouldn't celebrate their birthday. Or when someone says, hey, we should celebrate your birthday, you go, oh, no. Yeah, I know you're not that person.
Hell no.
But I was, and I think that now my view is that everybody should celebrate every birthday as if it's some sort of milestone. And I think that because who gets to decide what's significant enough? It's you. You know, like whoever's going to be doing the celebrating, you get to decide whether it's worth celebrating. So why aren't the smallest things worth celebrating? That's your choice to not celebrate. And there's so many good reasons to celebrate. I'm going to be going over those in a bit. But what were you going to say?
Well, I am easily encouraged when it comes to celebrating. So it doesn't take much to talk me into it whatsoever.
Okay, so you know, I looked up the definition of what a celebration is. There's like requirements to call it a celebration, okay? There's 3 things. It has to be a gathering of people, and it has to have food and drink, and it has to acknowledge some sort of life or cultural event, okay? And those things are important in order to get all the benefits of celebrating. And there are real true benefits to celebrating. This isn't just like made up stuff. So I'm going to go over
chemical happiness in your head when you know you're happy, when you're celebrating.
Well, I mean, hey, let's go over them in order. Let me show you what I got here. Okay, so we're going to be going over this list of why to celebrate, and you can chime in on any one of these, but I just think they're all important. Okay. So number 1 is it cultivates gratitude. And you know how important gratitude is. You understand the importance of holding gratitude in your heart every day. And I know that you intentionally try to do this on a daily basis.
Absolutely.
So why would you say gratitude is important for you?
Well, what I found about gratitude, and I learned this lesson about gratitude in my mid-20s from some mutual friends. So thankful for the people that I befriended in Florida. But since my life has played out, it's become obvious why gratitude is so imperative. If I hadn't been the type of person that was going around appreciating things, that's not going to work. We're going to have to do like this. And now my computer is not responding, so I don't know what to tell you.
Okay, well I can see you both. I can see you both and I can hear you both. So go on.
Okay, so what being grateful does is it gives you opportunities to say things to people that are nice. If you genuinely, truly are grateful, the things that come out of your mouth are going to be things people want to hear. If you're ungrateful, you're going to be the complainer. But if you're grateful, people are going to hear that. Every time they're around you, they're going to know that you appreciate what you have. And it's so much more joyful to move through life counting your blessings than it is counting all the things other people have that you don't have. And so when it comes to celebrating, how difficult is it to celebrate when you're disappointed or frustrated? You know, being grateful for what you have, to me, is almost the prerequisite to really being able to celebrate on a, all the way.
Yes. And I think that, when you are celebrating, it's easy to see some things right in front of your face that you are grateful for. If you think about the difference between you're sitting in your house, getting ready to watch your favorite show, getting ready to eat the same meal that you usually eat on Thursdays, or you're out surrounded by people you love and feeling happy that you have them in your life. Just think about like how much richer that experience is. So celebrating is worth it just for that reason alone. But here's reason number 2. So it's a perceived social support. Now, what that means is that you see that people around you are supporting and celebrating you or your successes. And this is important for so many reasons. Like, do you remember when we were talking about the blue zones and the social network that they were cultivating there? And that was their main reason for their long lifespan.
Yeah.
And celebrations are part of that. It's the coming together of friends. It lengthens your lifespan. That's how important it is to human beings. So number 3. So it creates memories. Duh, right? Like, without celebrations, without these getting together moments, where are the memories? Are you there, Swede?
I'm sorry. I'm freezing up over here. My computer's running really, really slow.
Okay. Well, I could just talk and you can chime in when you feel ready. So the thing about the getting together and creating memories, that's what I was missing when I would not want to celebrate my birthday. When I would just say, oh, no, that's not important. We don't need to do anything. I was missing out on creating memories. And that was a rude thing to do to myself. I think that creating memories is the only thing there is to do in life. What do you have at the end of it if you don't have good memories? Are you there
That's
yet?
what it's about, really. That's the whole purpose. That's the whole reason. Like, why are we doing this? So that we can feel as though we are enjoying our lives and living a life worth, living, and rather than just going through the motions. Like, if you wake up every day and nothing about your life is worth celebrating, change how you approach the day. It's not any more complicated than that. And we all have a choice. You can talk to me all day long about privileges. We all have in this country the privilege to make a choice. That's all there is to it. You choose what you want to do with yourself in your life and get up each morning and motivate in the direction of where you want your successes to be. If you get up each day and your first thing is complaining and not motivating, then you don't deserve to celebrate. You have to earn it.
Why are you yelling at me?
I'm really excited and I'm hearing something over here.
Okay. All right, here, I'm moving on to the next one. Okay. So when you celebrate, you're considering your future goals, because what you're doing is you're celebrating something that happened. And whether it's as simple as you were born, or whether it's a milestone at work, or something you accomplished, or your piano recital. What you can do from that moment is you can see what you've done and you can start to think about where you want to go from there. And celebrations facilitate that. I like this, all these things that I looked up and put on this list today. I'm like, Yeah, how come I never really thought about that before? Why was I gypping myself out of all of these celebrations, right?
Go ahead and move through that, D-Rex, because I need to keep my mic off. We've got a very loud, destructive sound going on here. So go ahead and move through it.
Okay, I can't hear it, by the way. I don't hear what it is. Okay. Number 5. And I got to get close to my screen because my eyes aren't so good anymore. It's an opportunity for laughter, excitement, and activity. And that's the same thing I was talking about earlier, where why turn down a celebration when activity, excitement, and laughter are really the only things that make life good? Like, why would you ever turn down a celebration? So I want to explain to people who are watching this podcast that we're having a lot of technical difficulties over at your house today, and that's what's going on right now. But by the way, when your mic was on, I could hear you just fine. I didn't hear whatever noise you were talking about.
Oh, well, if you can't hear it, that's amazing. We need to send some kudos to StreamYard because it is really loud in my ear. It's as loud as you.
I can't hear it, and I accidentally went through 2 of these numbers, so let me just go through them. So number 6, it has mental and physical health benefits, these celebrations, these getting together, and I think that's kind of a redundant one because all of these good feelings that celebrations produce, they're so good for you that they can extend your life. So these are real health benefits, and the mental benefits are helping with depression and anxiety. And there's every single reason to celebrate benefits you in your physical and mental health. So, okay, so number 7's already up there. Okay, so it encourages positive thoughts. And I think that anything that encourages positive thoughts is going to help you because that positivity can spread throughout your life. If you're having positive thoughts, then you're more apt to help others or feel good about where your life is going, and your mood is going to affect others. Positive thoughts are a healthy thing for you, but it also spreads beyond you to others. Here, let me move.
Write a book on. True. Write a book. Power of Positive Thinking. It is. You cannot overstate the power of positive thinking. And what we have been talking about, encouraging people to celebrate, to handle your business on a daily basis in a manner where you get to a point each day where you've earned the right to celebrate. And even if you don't celebrate all Festivus with popping bottles and everything, each day you can sit back and think about the efforts that you put forth and the progress that you made and the fruits of your labor that have been born from it. And you can celebrate that. I tell people all the time, small victories. I myself have gone in and out of depression since I've been injured. And I have gone in and out of trying very hard to get professional help for that. And I have failed miserably at getting professional help. But you know why I'm no longer feeling as though I'm marred by depression? Because I have a D-Rex. Because I have this positivity. Anytime I do feel like I'm bummed, and I go through my periods, ask anybody that's contributed to my well-being out here, and you've witnessed it too, D-Rex, when you've been here. I go through periods where I get really quiet and it's unconscionable what's wrong with me. And it's never exterior, it's always in my mind. So the way that when I notice that that's happening, the way that I overcome that is I literally in my brain tell myself out loud, count your blessings, count your blessings. Because it's so easy to forget about all of the things in our lives that we have to be thankful for. And when we start counting them, then you can't help it. If you start truly being appreciative for the blessings that you have in your life, you're going to feel that celebration thing. That's why it transcends demographics. That's why it's something that goes beyond, cultures and age lines and any of those other things that typically segregate us, because we know that when we have that feeling, then we naturally want to celebrate. That's what we want to do. We want to find another human that we can share this joyful sentiment with, right? So the fact that we are placing an emphasis on this for you guys, I hope comes as a message to you. And there's going to be, maybe you don't understand what we're doing at this point. Maybe we're just all over the place to those of you that are, occasional arrivals. But for those of you that have been with us from the beginning and have picked up all the ingredients that we've laid out at here, you'll understand that we're trying to help you develop a mindset and an attitude towards life that will enable you to get busy living. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter how many women or men you have, at your footsteps. It doesn't matter. If you are not appreciative and you're not grateful for what you have, it doesn't matter how good your life is. So that's why we're setting aside an entire episode to talk about celebrating, because it really is worth it. It really is worth it. And, D-Rex, you've been the queen or the leader, the one that set the pace in joining me in celebrating. So, and from what you gather as being, the other person that's been with me from the start, how do you feel are ways that that you've been able to celebrate along the way with me?
Well, I just feel like every time we get together, you want to celebrate something. You always have a toast ready to go for anything.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I do have something that's ready to go. And it's somewhat of a toast. I want to thank both of you lovely ladies for helping me with this kind of thing, because without you, we wouldn't have these kind of things. But I do want to just kind of give people a glimpse of what it was like for us, having been childhood friends, going 2 decades without ever even speaking to each other in person, and then starting together on a project a year ago. And then 1 year later, what's a day in the life for us look like? Well, that's what I have here. So if you don't mind, please join me in this little silent celebration as we watch this little ode. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Looks like our internet is not cooperating. Okay, I'm going to shut my camera off, and let's just give this a shot. If it doesn't work, we'll show it next week.
Okay.
Well, doesn't look like the universe wants us to be happy today, and that's okay.
Right. No, I mean, we're going to be happy next week when we show up. We have plenty to talk about there. And plus, you know what? I didn't really finish talking about what I was going to talk about. So I'm just going to bring that back up and just finish it up. So here we go. Okay, so I didn't get to go over number 8. So it says it decreases mortality rate in celebrations, decrease mortality rate in retirement homes. So I think that's really noteworthy, is when you have people in retirement homes, and you have experience with being in care homes, and they're kind of bleak. They're bleak facilities, and you can put your camera back on. There was no problem with that. I also don't hear you. The mic is off. But I read that adding celebrations to the calendar decreases mortality rate at retirement homes. And I thought that is really important to note and to see, is that it makes people that happy. It makes life worth living. It makes everything better. And so the final thing here, I'm actually having trouble reading it due to the way my screen is set up. But number 9 is that celebrations increase your optimism and drive to do better at work, in life, in your friendships. Increasing your optimism, I don't think anybody would argue that that's a bad thing. Being more optimistic is, sure, there's a Pollyanna, rose-colored glasses view of life that everybody would think is probably too much, but we're not talking about that. Just being generally a more optimistic person can also make you healthier, keep your heart rate lower, your blood pressure lower. And celebrations can increase your optimism. So if it then feeds into your general health, then that's all a great thing. So let me just say the last thing here. because I think it's going to be blocked on screen anyhow. But number 10 is that it increases feelings of wanting to reciprocate, to return the favor, to build your community, to build your friendships, to help. And that's exactly what we were trying to do here at the Get Busy Living podcast. And with Help Swede Walk Again, is we're trying to build a community that wants to help and reciprocate. And Swede has always been talking about how he wants to return the favor of how his life has been saved. So maybe that's actually what's at the root of Swede's spirit, is that he likes to celebrate and he likes to build a community. He likes to help. And I'm going to have to probably end this podcast on my own today. But Swede's having so many technical difficulties that for our 1-year anniversary, it's almost like it's a test. The universe is putting us through a test today. The 1-year anniversary of this podcast, which is a big celebration for us, has turned into nothing but technical difficulties. And I'm okay with that, because I think that I'm going to celebrate regardless. If anything has been learned in this past year, that's that one should never turn down a celebration, regardless of technical difficulties and all sorts of things. So I'm going to end this podcast in 1 minute if Swede is not able to get back on. And I will not do the ending justice, because I'm never the one that ends this. But I do want to talk about very quickly that the adventure that we had the past weekend, we'll be mentioning that next week and showing a video and showing you the importance of getting together with your friends and just enjoying each other, because that's what life is about. It's the only thing life is about. It's why I do this podcast, spending time with my friends every week, blasting my face across the internet, which is something I'm not exactly all that comfortable with, just to hang out with my friends and celebrate on a weekly basis. But it has changed my life for the better. I want to thank you all for being here today, despite all of our technicalities. So I'm not going to read it word for word, what Swede says at the end, but I do want to say that we are all in this together. Is it no matter the weather, something like that? And that's the most important thing. We're all in this together at all times. So I'd like to say thank you for anyone who has been here with us today, and we'll be seeing you next week.
But you gotta believe me, ain't nothing coming easy my way. No, I'm fucking word, but it's fucking word. I'm fucking word. You can see it when you see me, but you gotta believe me, ain't nothing coming easy my way.
And we're ending this.